came up into this area, came up to Fort Perch. That was on the 10th of December, 1943. Now, mind you, they had been up there before, but there was a long spell when they weren't doing anything. Well, when they came up with that little force, I think they had about something like 6 bombers and about 8 fighters escorting them. One of our squadron flight leaders ran into them, and they shot down 1 bomber and 4 fighters. So the Japanese didn't make out too well. Now, one of our guys got hit pretty bad, but he managed to get back home all right. Well, I don't know if that made them mad or what, but anyway, on the 13th, they decided they were going to get even. Now, I'd been up flying Dog 13 patrol. I took off first flight. I'd been up 3.5 hours, got back, got refueled. And we got a red alert come on. So I jump off with my airplane, get airborne right away. Start circling over the field. We were supposed to go up above the field and keep our mouths shut so we didn't tell them where we were, you know. And the rest of them would come up and join us. Well, there were 3 others. They didn't get off. So I'm sitting up there climbing up above the field, and I see something in the distance. So I thought, that looks like 4 airplanes over there. Well, it was real hazy that day, and you couldn't see very well. So I made another loop, and I came back around, and I followed control because I knew wasn't expecting anybody to be there. So I said, hey, I've got some unknowns over here. I don't know what they are. Do we have any friendlies in the area? Negative. Well, we got an inbound on some enemies about 40 miles to the east. I said, well, I got news for you. They ain't 40 miles to the east. They're 15 miles east of your field. And by this time, I'd gotten a little closer. And what looked like 4 airplanes turned out to be 4 flights. And these 4 flights were made up of 2 Finger 3s in each flight. So 6 airplanes in flight, 4 flights, that's 24 bombers. And so when I saw what they were, I said, look, you've got a problem with some bombers up here. How about getting me some help? Negative. They're far to the east up there. We got reliable ground reports that they're way to the east. I said, well, I kept following them. I kept climbing up. Finally, I got up above where the bombers were, and by that time, what I hadn't seen before, because it was real hazy, was a whole bunch of Zeros just flying around up there, having a lot of fun watching bombers. Well, I guess they didn't see me. For the same reason I didn't see them until I got in the middle of it. So I followed them, and they went like this up to the mountain range, and I said to the control, they're going to make a turn, they're going to come back over your headquarters. That's exactly what they did. And when they went into that turn, I could see everything because the sun was shining on them. I had never seen gathering many airplanes in my life. There were 64 of them, 40 fighters and 24 bombers. So here I am sitting up there all by myself, asking for help, can't get in it. And finally, it became very clear what they were going to do. So I called control and said, look, here's the estimated time they're going to hit your headquarters. I'm going to try to do whatever I can to spoil their aim a little bit, if that's possible, and over and out. So when I got to the point, they got to the point where I thought they were just short of the bomb release line, I was way up ahead of them. So I came down in front of them and made a pass into the front so they could see me come and fired as well as I could, trying to distract their attention. I slid in under one flag, came back up around, get at the second one, and then slipped around to the third and fourth. And I don't know whether it made any difference or not. I saw some bombers going like this, you know, jumping up and down, and I didn't know what the fighters were doing because I didn't have time to look at them. Anyway, when I made my pass onto that last flight, I zeroed in on one bomber, and I could see I was hitting his left engine very well. But about that time, I was so close, I had to zip in under him, and I went into what I had planned for a long time as being my escape maneuver in case you get some zeros at you, and that is to push forward on the stick, push it clear over in the corner as far forward as you can, go into an outside roll, which puts negative G's on you. Zeros can't tolerate that. In fact, hardly anybody can tolerate it. It's harder than just doing it. But anyway, I got away from them and pulled off to the side, and I could see that the fighters were sticking with the bombers, which was the smart thing to do. So I thought, well, see, I'll try that again. So I climbed up again, get up above, then I turned in towards the bombers. I think every damn zero in the air saw me. Here they came. Well, I got out of there as quick as I could, and with my escape maneuver, but I tried to get a couple of shots of zeros there. I went by. I don't know if they hit any or not. So I came back up again, climbed up on top, and they'd already dropped their bombs, so it didn't make any difference then whether I was shooting with bombers or fighters. So I said, well, maybe I could get a zero. So I pulled up on top, pulled in behind the one on top in the rear, tried to get a shot at him. When I got in close, he made it a 180, and I couldn't get a shot at him, but the one ahead of him was a little stupider. He turned slow, so I started shooting him, and I could see I hit him right away. The gear dropped, and when I saw that, I said, he's lying. So I pulled back on the throttle, pulled in behind him, and made sure that he was hit good, and he fell off into a spiral. So I followed him down to where I could see him crash in the jungle. So I came back up again, but this time the bombers are way south of where we started. So I got back up on top, and I thought, well, I'll have a go at the bombers again. Big mistake. As soon as I started in the bombers, man, here they came. And I was trying my best to get away, and I was going through that maneuver, and just as I got upside down, I looked, and here comes a guy straight up like that, shooting at me. And I could see he had pretty good aim. And I pushed forward real hard on the stick. It wasn't getting away fast enough, so I grabbed the trim tab, wound it all the way forward. Still wasn't getting away fast enough. About that time, wham, wham, wham. And I could hear bullets hitting wherever they were hitting. One of them went right behind the armor plate, clipped the fuel line back there, fuel vent line. There was a big flash of fire. Fire comes shooting up on both sides of the cockpit. I figured I was in trouble, but it went out right away. So after I finally managed to get far enough down, I thought, well, I'm pretty well in the clear now. I started to pull it out. I pulled back on the stick, and man, I wasn't making any progress at all. So I pulled harder, and finally I grabbed both hands, and I pulled back. It was beginning to do a little bit. I grabbed the trim tab and started cranking on that. So it just spun free. They had shot that sucker with a trim cable right into it, just as I got the full nose out trim. So, by this time, we're about 125 miles south of where we started. I decided it was a good time to head back home, so I headed back home. Went a little ways, and that airplane got so heavy that it just flat wanted to go nose down. So I grabbed both hands. My arms got tired. I tried to get the seat belt up around the stick to hold it back. It was too short. I tried holding it with my knees. I tried everything I could think of. And at one point I called control and said, hey, look, I can't keep this airplane in the air. I'm going to bail out. So I rolled the canopy down and looked out, and I said, uh-oh, that jungle looks too bad. That ain't the answer. And finally I got smart. And I said, well, now if it's going to go nose down, all I can do is turn it upside down. So that's what I did. So here we go on the climb. After about a minute and a half or so, the engine starts loading up, and it won't run anymore. So I flip it up right side up. About 30 seconds or so, the engine smooths out. I come back again. We went about 90 miles that way. When I got close to the base, we used to go around the land to the south. I wasn't about to go anywhere. I didn't need to go. So I'm coming in straight from the south. And when I got close to the base, I had about 1,000 feet altitude. So here I am coming in upside down, trying to gauge, now how much do I need to go down? When I get down close to the ground, I put the gear handle down, and of course the gear's going that way. I got an up and lock, or down and lock sign for him being up. And about that time, I'm down almost the end of the runway, so I put the flap handle down, squeeze the trigger to get the flaps down, roll it over, down on the ground, cut it off, and let it roll. I didn't care where it went. Man, when I got out of that airplane, I was so tired I couldn't hardly move. It took me 3 days for my arm to get back to the regular day. It took about that long to patch up my airplane, too. Well, from then on, since we had already started down through Burma, we decided that we needed to get pretty serious about that sort of thing. So we started running interdiction missions down into this area. There's a railway that comes up here from Mandalay. The Japanese use this railway to take supplies up to Missional, which is their farthest north strip. Had a nice little railroad bridge across the Nogon River there. The bombers have been trying to take it out for about 4 or 5 months. The P-36s, that was a bomber version of P-51, they've been after it for quite a while. Nobody could get it. So the squadron commander said, hey, let us have a whack at it. Well, okay, you can, but you have to go with 2 B-25s and 18 A-36s ahead of you. And you can take 10 P-40s. Which is okay. We loaded 6 P-40s up with 1,000-pound bombs and had 4 flying top cover. I was the number 6 man with the bomb. So we came in and they didn't hit it. I got a direct hit on the rail line just short of where it went out into the river. They can fix that easy enough. So we went back and I said, well, see this. The only way to get that rig is to take out one of those trestles. So we came back on the second mission. They let us have 2 missions. Came back on the second mission, and I knew I had to put that bomb right smack on that trestle, and I did, and it took that whole damn bridge out. So that stopped the Japanese from being able to use the rail line here to get up the mission on the supply. That was their depot and so forth. So then in March, Stilwell and Merrill's Marauders decided that in order to get supplies into China, what they needed to do was to get some way of getting back on the Burma Road, which is this brown line that goes up into Yunnan, China.